the title of the book is The Confused Mind of a Drug Dealer. My purpose for writing that book was I lost my son in 2000, around 2009, 10. He got shot in the head. So when I wrote the book, it was to reach out to the youth to try to bring two worlds together. Meaning if you was in the streets, I tried to bring you out. For the people that's not in the streets, I walked you into that life. So meaning when you think of that mindset of a drug dealer, most people think it's about being drugs. And it's a way of life. And you try to get these kids out of that way of life, that mindset, that way of thinking. Because if we don't get these guns off the streets, it's going to be a problem. So, I mean, that's what the book was pretty much about, the whole in-depth of the streets, just from the beginning to the end, the daily life of being in that world.
Welcome to the We Got Problems podcast with co-hosts Curtis G. Martin, Rhonda L. Brown, and Caliph Johnson Sr., the one and only podcast where solutions get discussed to our community's everyday troubles. Each week, you will hear mind-blowing conversations and actionable tips and strategies that you can implement in your daily life to become more effective. We got problems and we got solutions.
Hey guys, welcome to the show. This is We Got Problems podcast where we talk solutions. I'm Curtis G. Martin here with my co-host Rhonda L. Brown.
Hey everybody.
And I'm here with my second co-host Caliph Johnson Sr.
Peace, how y'all doing?
And we have a special guest in the house today, Mr. Keenan Handy. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and what it is that you do?
How's it going? Yeah, my name is Keenan Handy. I'm a restaurant owner of about 30 years, owner of Hambone Bar and Grill Barbecue, business owner with transportation, busy transportation. I'm fully active with youth sports, youth facilities, track, football, basketball, and just currently just trying to reach out to help the community. I have about 50 employees. Just a long background of just trying to build community and help these kids come out of this situation that we're in, because it's a lot of troubled kids right now. That's a little background of me.
So we heard you have a book. Tell us what your book is about.
So the title of the book is The Confused Mind of a Drug Dealer. My purpose for writing that book was I lost my son in 2000, around 2009, 10. He got shot in the head. So when I wrote the book, it was to reach out to the youth to try to bring two worlds together. Meaning if you was in the streets, I tried to bring you out. For the people that's not in the streets, I walked you into that life. So meaning when you think of that mindset of a drug dealer, most people think it's about being drugs. It's a way of life. And you try to get these kids out of that way of life, that mindset, that way of thinking. Because if we don't get these guns off the streets, it's going to be a problem. So, I mean, that's what the book was pretty much about, the whole in-depth of the streets, just from the beginning to the end, the daily life of being in that world.
Okay, so you have a restaurant, you're an author. What made you become an entrepreneur?
You know, I was working at McDonnell Douglas in 1989, and people were there 25 years, and they started laying people off. And at that moment, I said, you know what? I think I can mess my own life up in 25 years instead of dedicating it to a company, and they could just get rid of me. So that's what really made me go down the road of being an entrepreneur, so I could control my own destiny. I mean, me coming from the streets, growing up in Compton, you see things from a different perspective. So I grew up in the 80s. I grew up in the gangs. I grew up in that whole world. So coming from that life, getting caught up, you know, I did Fed time, just through the whole system, being on both sides of the coin, the business world, the street world, being in prison, not in prison. So, you know, I went to the feds for conspiracy. So it's one of those things. It wasn't the crime I did, it was the mindset. So when I was in there, I met doctors, lawyers, scientists, police. I mean, I met some of everybody from every walk of life. So at that moment, it was me saying, you know what, you got to change your mindset. You got to accept responsibility for your actions and change the way you think. And that was over 20 years ago. So just walking that walk, not just talking of it, being a part of it, being affiliated with it to actually know what's going on. So it's a way of life. And to try to, like, I really reach kids because I can kind of understand their mindset. And like me and Caliph talk all the time. It's more or less people got to accept responsibility. But these kids, if we look at what's going on right now in the world with the home invasions, the robberies, but it's bad when you're in the streets. So it's one of those things that's trying to get people to change the way they think. And if we don't, it's going to be hard for us to reach these kids. Like I talk to people, so I may raise my kids a certain way. We raising our kids, some people raising them to be doctors, lawyers, politicians, police, a generation of success. Where when you're in the streets, kids want to be the next gang member. They want to be the next big hood dude. So what happens is, no matter what we teach our kids, they can't match that anger. A lot of these kids are angry because they don't have fathers, and people don't really think about that. They don't want to be nothing else but the next killer on the streets.
So what can you say to help change the mindset of somebody in that similar situation or that similar type lifestyle?
Grab them at their core where they are at that age. And when you talking to them, the biggest thing I ask kids is like, what direction do you want to go? What do you want to be? And it's not saying what do you want to be as career. What do you want to be as a person? What type of person you want to be? Because at the core, when you get away from your homeboys and your homegirls, who are you? Like, what do you really want to be? What kind of person do you want to be to this world? I know being a killer ain't what you want to be because we don't breed killers. So the biggest question is to ask people to take a look, especially with kids, and plant that seed. What type of person do I want to be?
So what made you ultimately get into the food industry?
I opened my first restaurant when I was 22. And what made me really want to get into it, my mother and father, they cooked. They're from Arkansas. And it was one of those things to say, listen, I could take what my parents did and critique it, turn it into a business. And then over the years, I found the love for it, and that was my passion. But the ultimate thing was with my parents, and then it turned into my passion and dream and desire.
Okay. Being the food industry is what it is coming out of COVID, right? You know, so many restaurants didn't survive it, right? So with that being what it is, what do you think you need? If you could leave some tips or some guidance for someone looking to get into the industry, what kind of tips would you leave them?
Don't be scared to share the wealth. Like, we think that we can own it all and we'll never own it all. So meaning how we survived through the pandemic, we did Postmate, DoorDash, Uber Eats, Grubhub. They took 25% and people was like, man, you're crazy. But that's 25% of their platform that I was never going to reach during COVID. So with that 25%, that was a big number that we got a 25% of. And now those are their residual customers, their repeat customers, they're constantly coming in. And people think, oh, I own everything. You'll never own everything. So don't be scared to open up and share, reach out, build relationships. Yes, it's going to cost, but at the end of the day, what are you getting from it? So I'd rather have 25% of something than 100% of nothing.
And so most restaurants close within the first 2 years. What have you done to keep yours up and running?
So for me, I can only speak for me. I only care about Hambone's customers. I didn't care what Uber said. I mean, what Yelp said. I didn't care about reviews. I had to stay dedicated and loyal to my principles, my values, and my goals. Because at the end of the day, that's my customer. When you look, you got McDonald's, Jack in the Box. They all operating on the same corner. So the biggest thing, I always just stay loyal to who you are, your recipes, your customer service, because you're not going to please everybody. Everybody walk through your door, no matter how good you are, they're not going to be happy. And that's the customer you really can't concern yourself with. Only thing you could do is stay dedicated and diligent to who you are. And at that point, it'll be successful. It's a lot of people chase the money, and the money is just a byproduct.
Do you have an accountability partner, a coach, mentor?
Myself. I mean, honestly, because I set such high standards for myself, and I don't think no one could critique me harder than me, because I know my faults, I know my failures, and I'm very honest with myself. So I'm my biggest critic. So I figure if I stay honest to myself and stay honest to my principles, I'll constantly guide myself in the right direction. In the 51 years, accountability of self is the best thing that you could do. Like Naeem Akbar had a book, Know Thyself. And a lot of people are scared to know who they are.
Okay. You have your hands in a lot of different pots. I know the type of goals that you set for yourself, the type of standards that you keep with everything you do. There's a lot of different businesses going on with the food industry and with the delivery service. Do you monitor what your competition is doing, or do you just lock in? What's your process for that?
I lock in. I mean, because I think if just my opinion, we're only in competition with ourselves. If I start worrying about what Amazon do or FedEx or UPS, then busy transportation will be chasing their values. If I worried about what Seals or Newport Rib Factory did, then I lose sight of who I am. I lose sight of my direction. So I lock in on me. And like I said, we all have principles, and every business, no matter what it is, has certain principles, values, and cores. All we have to do is stay on that course. And if we stay on that course and in line with those principles, everything will work itself out.
So what type of tools you use, what type of process, maybe software or anything that you use to help your business run smooth?
I stay up to date with POS systems, because the POS system, it keeps everything in line, from your inventory, payroll, labor, daily sales. So those are most of the tools that I use, more or less the point of sale systems, because that's where we're actually in. You know, we have to buy the product, we have to sell it at a cost. So as long as your numbers stay right, then you're fine, because most people fail in business from mismanagement. They don't pay their taxes. They don't manage the day-to-day operations as far as labor, staffing, food costs. And that's in any business. You have to stay, the formula is there. We can't reinvent it. And I think a lot of people, I have this product, I'm going to reinvent the wheel. No, you're not. A wheel is a wheel. It's always been that way. It's gonna continue to roll. So that's the point of sale system. A lot of people stay away. You have to stay on that.
All right, cool.
Okay. So how do you balance your work and family life?
So work comes first, period, because that's how we survive. Now, if it's an emergency, family come first. When it comes to my kids' games, sports, so I've been a full-time coach. So in my day, I know where I have to be. I don't think about the day. I just know, okay, I got to be here at 2 o'clock. I got to be here at 3 o'clock. I got to be here at 4 o'clock. Once I'm there, but work come first. Because if you don't take care of the financial responsibilities, everything else is minute. Your spiritual foundation has to be strong. That's your core. That's who you are. But in today's life, no matter what, you still have to provide economically and financially. So I balance it that way, and my family understand. If it's not an emergency, I'm at work. I spend about 15, 20 hours a day, 7 days a week in my craft. Now, outside of that, I will take a break to go to the kids' game, coach, do the things that I have to do to give them their time. But work come first.
Okay. This part we call our rapid fire section. So, we normally go about 20, 30 seconds on the answers. So
okay.
It's just something that comes off the top of your head. And this one is a little personal to me, and I'm sure this will be for you, but I just kind of want to hear your opinion on it. What's your why on why you do what you do?
Because I love me. That's it. I love me. I love the direction I'm going, and I have to be happy first.
Were there any times that through your entrepreneurship or through this process you thought it wouldn't work?
Every day. Every day. And it's not because of me. It's because of the people I hire. Meaning employees never do their job. So every day I question, do I want to do this? But at the end of the day, I know I got my back. So it's every day I question, should I keep getting up and doing this?
What's the most important thing you've learned in life?
Whoa. Put God first and understand where your faith and strength is, and just love yourself before you love anybody, because you're not going to let yourself down. People will, you won't. Just knowing that God is there for me, knowing that at the end of the day, I'm good because he got me.
Okay, I got one. And this one is kind of real dear to the heart as well. If you can have a conversation with anyone, dead or alive, who would you want to speak with and why?
I would, if there's any, I mean, a 22-year-old me, because I learned a lot then. Me and God, just a serious heart-to-heart conversation to ask yourself, why did you do what you did then, and why do you do it now?
All right, if you could turn back the hands of time and talk to your 18-year-old self, what is it that you would tell yourself?
Go to school. Go to school, educate yourself as much as you can, get as much knowledge as you can, and meet as many educated people as you can. Because if you don't, you have a bunch of idiots around you. And I mean, education gives you direction when you get to where you want to be.
Facts.
People always say you should save money and invest. What type of assets do you invest in?
I invest in, I have some stocks, little real estate, but the biggest asset is myself, because those things, I mean, stocks go up and down. When I invest in me, I have a direction that I want to go. So I have businesses that I want to pursue, and those are less losses that I take. Keep your credit together, stay debt free. I currently have an 840 credit score with 0 debt, but that happened over time. Because if you keep your credit, you keep your debt, you can pretty much get anything you want from the banks. And just if you invest in something, know what you're investing into.
Okay, I got one for you. If you could recommend any book, what would it be and why?
Breaking the Chains of Psychological Slavery. Because it's we look at slavery as a black thing. Slavery is a mindset. So if you could break those chains of that psychological slavery, I don't care who you are, it'll set you free and put you in the right direction where you need to go.
So I know you mentioned you work 15, 16 hours a day, 7 days a week. How do you unwind? How do you get that time for you, or how do you celebrate your wins?
About 1 o'clock at night when my family is asleep, man, I sit in the bathtub and just unwind and just chill, just reflect the day, wash the day off me. Everybody sleep, and I get up the next day and just, I reflect over each day. But I like to wash the day off me. I get the sweat off me. I let my muscles relax, let my body wind down, because I'm in my own space at that time. About 1 in the morning, I have a clear head and get ready for the next day.
What's your best tip for making our community a better place?
Accepting responsibility, because everything is not okay. And in today's time, we have genderless, same gender, just everything is not okay. Accept responsibility for your actions and understand that we do have rules to follow. They make them where they're not rules, but we're not God. There are rules that we have to follow to be where we need to be.
Okay. I've read your book. I understand who you are, right? So this one is for the people, though. How do you celebrate your wins?
You know what? I don't look at it as a celebration. I look at it to say you're where you're in a comfortable place right now. So I look at my day and say, okay, I'm financially okay. I'm spiritually 100% okay. So my health is there. So my celebration is waking up every morning going, thank you, Lord, for the next 24 hours. You gave me 24 hours. I'm going to make the best of it. And just thank you. I'm so happy at the end of that day that I made it through 24 hours because, hey, just to get through 24 hours a day is tough. So I sit back, I leave work, I go get me a Starbucks and have a little Starbucks drink refresher, and that's my celebration.
See, like a lot of people don't know like the struggles and some of the stuff you've been through, big bro. Some people wouldn't, unless they read your book or they actually had the opportunity to sit down and talk with you. A lot of people don't know some of the tribulations that you come through. But do you care to share any of like we only got into a little bit, like not even the tip of the iceberg of your life? Is it anything you want to share with the people and kind of like let them know a little bit more about you?
I've been through a lot in life, meaning not just prison. I've been through relationship problems, health issues. But at the end of the day, it's I'm thankful, meaning I have a sickness. I'm 100% remission, but it's one of those things I tell people, love it. A lot of people get diagnosed with a cancer or a disease or whatever, and they run from it. Well, my thing is, if you love something, you take care of it. So with your sickness, marry it, make it your wife, make it your kids. That way you're going to take care of it. Because we can't run from problems. We can't run from sickness. We can't run from situations. All we can do is embrace them. So whenever I come up with a problem, I'll look at it, I'll diagnose it, and I say, okay, let's roll. Here we go. Let me treat you, because an illness is just not a sickness. An illness, a lot of people are ill in the mind because they think that they can run from problems, and you can't. They're gonna, whatever you go through, whether it's your job, relationship, sickness, ill, career, you have to face it and embrace it, because once you embrace it, you can come up with a solution. And that's kind of how I see things and I live my life. It's things do get challenging, but it's like anything. You just keep working at it.
Hey, I like that because we were talking the other day and we had an issue come up and I said, shit, I'm loving this shit. They was like, what? You tripping? I was like, no, that means, we on the right path. We just got to keep going. We embrace what comes in front of us and we keep going. So I like that.
Thanks.
Okay. So the last question, where can people find you?
You know what? They here at Hambone's. They can find me here at Hambone, but they can email me at handykeenan@gmail.com for any questions. I have my Instagram, Confused Mind of a Drug Dealer, Chef Keenan Handy, pitmaster, Chef Keenan Handy, Busy Transportation. Those are my Instagram, but mostly just email. They can email me and I respond to every email.
All right, we'll make sure we put those in the show notes as well. Let's see, Rhonda, you have anything you want to leave the people with?
Oh, get your mindset right. Change the way you think about things. Your life will be a lot better.
All right, Mr. Caliph Johnson, what do you have for the people?
You hit on accountability, big bro. That accountability word is something that our community really shies away from. And I'm glad that you teach us in such a graceful way on how to embrace it with anything that comes in life, be it business, be it marriage, relationship, tribulations with your kids, finance, whatever your problems are. Learn how to be accountable and learn how to deal with them. I thank you for coming on our platform and blessing us with this information. Some people really have no clue on what the pillar you are for our community and what you represent. And I just want to thank you for sharing the time with us and helping the community out for what you do.
All right, Mr. Keenan.
Yes, sir.
What do you have you want to leave the people with?
You know what? It's one of those things I ask people, when you leave this earth, what do you want people to say about you? For me, I just want them to say I was a good person. They say a good name is better to be chosen, great riches. So I leave this. Take a look in the mirror. Ask yourself, who are you? Find out who you know yourself. And at the end of the day, give yourself a big hug. When you wake up in the morning, give yourself a big hug. Learn to love yourself first. Just love you. If you can't find any way, love yourself and put you first.
All right, cool. Hey, you guys, actually, I want to say I appreciate you for coming on the show. Good show. And I want to leave the people with, hey, you guys, don't be a slave to your past so you can live free in your future. And just know that we have problems, but we also have solutions, and we out.
From the team at CRC Empire, we want to thank you for listening. To stay connected with us, like, share, and subscribe to the We Got Problems podcast. You can find us on social media platforms at Curtis Martin 247, at Rhonda Wrights Official, and at the_trash_vegan_. We got problems and we got solutions.